And the first thing we want to do is launch the application, which is indicated by this icon on the desktop of my computer. I'm going to double click that. And when the application opens, I'm introduced to the biometric login screen. So for me to clock in as an employee, I need to utilize my fingerprint to clock in and to clock out. So this is just a quick demo. I just scan my fingerprint, so now I have the option to either clock in or clock out. Zach is a basic employee, so he doesn't have any other privileges aside from that. So I'm going to clock in. If I was to do that again, I could use the mouse to navigate to click on in or out, or I can use some of the keyboard shortcuts. If I was to press I on my keyboard, that would clock me in. And if I was to press O, that will clock me out. So those are some keyboard shortcuts that you can utilize if you don't want to use the mouse to navigate your screen. Now I'm going to demonstrate Jay Leno. He doesn't have the option to select a job either, but when he clocks in, he can select a cost code. We could say that he is working on labor, and that would clock him in. Now I can clock in with an employee that has equipment use, job use, and he can select a cost code. So if I click on set job, we can change his job location, and then when he clocks in, he can select a cost code, and then he's clocked in. Then if he has to come back later in the day to clock in, and now he's switching his job location, he could click on set job, change the job location, clock in, select a new cost code, and he's done. I've gone back and I've made some changes and have turned on equipment for some of the cost codes so that when your employees clock in and they select particular cost codes that have equipment associated with them, after they select their cost code, they'll be prompted to select a piece of equipment that they're using on the job. So I'm going to clock in with Conan, and I have equipment turned on for delivery. If he has to select any of the other cost codes, he'll clock in all the same, but if he selects delivery, you'll now see it brings up an equipment list where he can select the piece of equipment that he's utilizing on that task, on that cost code. He's doing delivery in the Ford F-350, so we'll select that, and that'll clock him in for that job location, that cost code, and for that piece of equipment. And that's how you're able to accurately track time used on equipment as well. And then as soon as he's to come back and clock in for either a different cost code or clock out for the end of the day, then it will end the time that's used on that piece of equipment. Now that we've been through all the different ways that your employees can utilize the touch center and the different privileges that they can have on the system, I want to demonstrate a real case scenario of how one of your employees would typically utilize the system throughout his workday. So it's just after 7 a.m. in the morning on a Friday. Conan's arrived at the job site. He's a little bit late. He's going to clock in, and he's going to select the first cost code that he's using for the day. But before he does that, he's actually arrived at a different job location than he was working at yesterday. Yesterday he was working at the Walmart in Hollywood, but today he's working at a different job location, so we need to change that first. So he'll click on set job, and we can say that he's now working at the Brooklyn Elementary. So now he's accurately changed his job location. He can proceed to clock in and select his cost code. Now the first thing he's going to be doing in the morning is delivery. So he'll select his piece of equipment, which is a Ford F-350. So he's now clocked in at the elementary school doing delivery in the Ford F-350. So Conan is now finished doing delivery. He's arrived back at the job site and he's ready to clock in and do a different cost code. He'll scan in. Now he doesn't need to clock out. If he's changing his cost code, all he needs to do is just clock in and select a new cost code. So now that he's done doing delivery, he's going to go back and he's going to start working on flooring and he's going to lay carpet. That easily he's able to clock in for a new cost code. It's been a few hours later. It's now after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Conan's done working on carpet. He's going to select his third cost code for the day, which he'll clock in again. And now he's going to say that he's working on labor, just doing basic labor. He'll select that as his new cost code. And again, he's clocked in and has selected a new cost code. He never had to clock out, and he's off and back working on his next task. Okay, Conan is now at the end of his day. It's almost 6:30 p.m. He is ready to clock out and to go home. So he can scan his fingerprint and select out. And just like that, he's completed a full day. He's worked several different cost codes. He's utilized a piece of equipment. And now he's ready to sync up and send his time back to the office. So now he'll click on the sync button. He'll click send. And we'll watch the progress of the records being synced. And his time has now successfully been synced back to the office. Now I want to give you a quick peek of the records and what they look like back at the office when they're viewed from the control center. So now that we've synced up those records, we're looking at the time that was delivered back from Conan. And we can see that from 7:13 to 9:08, he worked 1 hour and 55 minutes doing delivery. We see his entry from 9:08 to 1:04 doing carpet, and then his time from 1:04 to 6:25 p.m. We can see that his total for the day was 11 hours and 12 minutes. And we can see that all of this time synced back from the field are full-time records, and that your payroll department can see that the records look good. They could process auto lunch, which would create an automatic lunch from 12 p.m. to 12:30 p.m. And you can see that the total time has changed, and Conan is now ready to get a paycheck cut to him once this information is processed into your accounting software at the click of a button.